you for tuning in to the Sean Inspires podcast. I am excited. This is the first podcast segment for 2023. I have today sitting in with me an amazing guest. He's doing some big things here in the country in the realm of wellness, digital media, and also as an entrepreneur. And so today, guys, I have sitting in with me, his name is Ishmael Mayhew, which he goes by Ish, that everyone else knows him by in the entertainment and media world. So I'm going to go ahead and get started and read Ishmael's bio and welcome him to the platform, and then let him come and speak to your audience and introduce himself in his own way. Ishmael Mayhew, known by Ish, with offices based in Los Angeles, California, and Washington, D.C. Ishmael Mayhew is one of the newest young minds in the verticals of digital media, wellness, entrepreneurship, and creative branding. He spent the last 12 years educating others on the forecast of digital applications, social influence, and impacting younger generations with knowledge on entrepreneurship, culture, and realizing their dreams. Ish has used his expertise to create direct projects for professional athletes, TV personalities, music professionals, and brands. Ish also founded Savish, a vegan, cruelty-free wellness and lifestyle brand committed to mindfulness and promoting message of access. His hope is to continue to impact people globally with wellness access, design, digital platforms, and information to inspire others and improve intrasocial relationships and standards. Ish is constantly looking for new ways to use design and digital media as a way to cultivate and impact communities. What an amazing and impressive bio. I love that you are targeting one generation, but also reaching generations all across the globe. So Ish, thank you so much for sitting in with the Sean Inspires podcast audience today. So if you could, in your own way, introduce the audience to us. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, thanks for having me. My name is Ishmael Mayhew. I'm a digital media strategist and overall serial entrepreneur. I've been in the wellness space for a little over 3 years. I started with my skincare brand, Savish, and Beauty Gene. And I've just kind of expanded on that. And also, I'm a creative entrepreneur, so I'm always looking for ways to help people share their messages online. And recently, in the past 2 years, I've tapped into a lot of real estate ventures. So I have some properties in Florida and working to acquire some more here in the DMV. And yeah.
Well, amazing. You're doing some great things. And let's just talk about, I know we mentioned that we will talk about finding your path to purpose and wellness and entrepreneurship and real estate. So you're doing so much. I would like to know, and I'm sure everyone that's listening in regards to your path and how did you navigate into the world of digital works. You know, it's a platform that's constantly changing, especially since we are kind of on the exit allegedly of COVID. So tell me a little bit about how you tapped into the realm of the whole digital work of that, doing that type of work. How did you get involved in that?
I really started with digital media and digital media branding and marketing and project management. When I was in college, I started, developing my own websites. I started a blog, like a lifestyle blog. I didn't like the blog format, and I wanted to learn how to make my blog look more professional, look more like a website. And so I taught myself how to develop a website, some programming and coding. And from there, I started doing it for my friends and small business owners in my area. And from there, it kind of just expanded more into digital media. Of course, I got better and better and learned new things and expanded into other wheelhouses within that vertical that kind of led me to the point of digital media.
That's amazing. So it sounds like you were basically self-taught starting out, and then you went on to enhance your level of knowledge and skill set in regards to that whole realm of digital media. So while we're talking about digital platforms and social media, I just want to dig in just for a little bit because there's been a lot in the news within the past year and into 2 years of how has social media impacted a lot of the younger individuals in not the most positive way. And so I know that that is a major part of your work. And if you could highlight for us, what could possibly be done a little bit differently in regards to a positive impact that digital content have the ability to introduce to our generation, that's now getting involved in so many different things, and everyone's saying, "Oh, it's social media." So I would like to know from a digital expert as yourself, what are some of the things that can be implemented in a positive way that could steer the generation into a greater area that's positive?
I think as it pertains to my area of expertise as a digital media strategist, I think it's really on the platforms themselves to be more responsible for how they are reviewing content and how they're allowing content to be administered on their platforms. I'm not a psychoanalyst or I'm not um, a mental health expert. So I know that social media plays a big role on mental health. I think there's other things that can be done on that side that could help that I don't have the skill set for. But what I can say is that a lot of these platforms are marginalizing people. They're taking advantage of people's content. They're making money off of people's content, and it is hurting people. And it's also disarming people and it's preventing people from becoming empowered from their own presence online. And I think the very important thing to remember is that these platforms benefit from us being present online. They benefit from us having online accounts and profiles. They benefit from us having activity on these platforms. And I think that they could do a better job at making sure that everyone feels safe on these platforms and that the conversations that are happening on social media are done in a way where everyone feels safe and empowered and heard, and not there's not an imbalance in how that's happening. Currently at this time, I do feel like a lot of these platforms have an imbalance or an unequal approach to how different, users and influencers are putting out content. And at the end of the day, these platforms are focused on making money and pleasing their stakeholders. And so I think it's allowed for a lot of negativity, a lot of racism, bigotry, misogyny, and other things to occur on social media that doesn't make it safe for everyone, including children as well. I think that there's some things that can be done where social media is regulated. I personally, and this is my personal belief, I don't believe anyone under the age of 16 should even be on social media. I know that's radical to a lot of people, but I think social media is an adult's platform in my opinion. And it's for, a lot of different things: communications, promoting your brand, engagement, connection, and just having fun. So I have a lot of different thoughts about how we could make it more positive, but I do think it starts with the entities themselves really taking responsibility for how they've kind of taken advantage of the users online.
And I love how you're placing that responsibility on the entities. And one of the key words that you shared in sharing your feedback is safe, and having that level of comfort in knowing that everyone who is putting out positive content on whatever platform they choose to use, whether it's Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, TikTok, it is safe and it is protected. And so it is not done in a damaging way. And you also mentioned racial tension and those different things that are also taking place. And I do agree with you. And thank you for also sharing your heartfelt sentiment in regards to the age requirement, because I do believe that some of the platforms should have an age requirement. Children are very vulnerable and naive vessels. So to open them up to all that is happening on social media, I agree with you 100%. It should be a safe space for creatives and for those that are positively engaging. So if we could move over into the wellness realm of your path, what basically sparked your interest in moving into the wellness realm? Was it something personal that happened in your journey that you decided to enter into it, and not only that, stretch yourself into an inventive space of creating product as you did for Savish?
Yeah, so the wellness thing is something that I'm still exploring and still learning, believe it or not. I mean, I love skincare, so that right away was easy. I mean, it was really easy for me to find some skincare products that I really enjoy and that I love. It was also easy for me to kind of develop my own. Um, and then it kind of expanded more into wellness because I was going on my own wellness journey. I was, exiting a very toxic relationship, and it was alarming to me how much my mental health was also impacting my physical health and how I felt about myself and how I looked. And I really started to realize that wellness is so much bigger than solely being healthy or solely feeling good. It's about all of those things. It's about feeling good. It's about being healthy. It's about looking good. And it's about taking care of yourself. So to me, wellness kind of expanded, but it started from just my love for skincare and my deep desire to get to a healthier place in life, mentally and emotionally, because I had been so damaged by a previous relationship. So I really think that that's how it kind of started. And then, I started to learn more about vitamins and supplements and nutrients. And I started to be a lot more committed to my workout regimen. And I had a huge, body transformation. In my opinion, it was big over the past, year or two, with just being really consistent in the gym and getting healthier and healthier. And I started to feel better. I started to look better. It all kind of connected. And then mentally, I started to also feel a lot better. I was in therapy. So all of these things kind of started happening together one by one and connecting. And I also, changed a lot financially. I had some great successes financially and some financial changes in my personal life and in my businesses. And I noticed what that did for my mood and my mental health. I mean, nothing is going to clear your skin better than a check. I mean, you know what I mean? So I just felt better,
Right.
felt healthier. Life got better when all of these things started to get in place. And a lot of people call it like leveling up and all of these kind of things. And that's exactly what it was. But I see it as a form of wellness. And so when I talk about wellness, I am talking about all of those things. I'm talking about physical health, mental health, emotional health, and financial wellness. And I think financial wellness has recently become very attractive to me because we are in a culture right now where everybody's talking about financial literacy, which is great, especially within the Black community. And I think it's so important to talk about financial literacy and how important it is. But I think that it leaves a lot of people stuck because it's one thing to learn about being financially literate, but let's talk about financial wellness. There's entire traumas and experiences attached to money that prevent people from ever getting a grip on their finances, regardless of what they know. I mean, there's so much out there about, credit and how to improve your credit and how to, improve your finances and what all these different things are. And we could look up, there's vocabulary lists on different financial, vocabulary out there that's free that you can Google on Google. And so financial literacy is great and we need to continue it, but I don't think that it stops there. I think financial wellness is a whole nother level of importance when it comes to really having a healthy relationship with money, really being fearless with money, because if you don't have those things in place, then you can't even begin to take the steps that you learn from, financial literacy. So wellness ties into all of those things for me.
Great. And I love the way that you bridged it all in together, and you were very open. And so many people, they're looking for avenues and ways to step into wellness and don't even really have an idea of what that might look like for their own life. So I thank you so much for sharing with the audience and bridging it out in such a way that was all encompassing, and sharing your own story about how you experience internal pain and internal trauma from a toxic relationship, which basically was the birthplace for Savish and birthing you out into another realm of reality of knowing who you are internally and externally. So that is amazing. Now, when we talk about your journey into entrepreneurship in the realm of real estate, do you come from a background of realtors, real estate developers? Is that anywhere in your family dynamic, or was it just something that you basically became attracted to over time? If we could talk about that.
So I do come from a background of people in my family that are real estate investors. So a few people in my family own multiple properties. Over dozens and dozens of properties. Some are cash flow, some are family properties. So I come from a family that has a lot of property, and we understand the value of generational wealth and investment properties. So that was something that came to me innately. But I was a late bloomer when it came to acquiring my own properties. I mean, that didn't happen until I was, 29 or 30 years old. And believe it or not, it was someone that I was actually dating that influenced me to actually go forward with getting property, getting real estate for myself and adding to that family portfolio. So that's what I did. And from there, it just didn't stop.
Amazing. And so you basically just flowed in what was already in you. Basically, it was already a quality and a gifting that was passed down through your lineage. And it just took timing for you to really wrap your mind around and conceptualize what that would look like for you in this journey of being your own leader and stepping into leadership. So if you could share with the listening audience, I'm sure some of them would like to know, what are some of the challenges that you faced in branching out? You have offices in LA, you have offices in DC. What are some of the challenges that you face building out those offices and building out teams, I'm sure, that are satellite teams to help you shoulder all of the great things that you're doing?
Yeah. So I utilize my network a lot. I mean, all of my friends, I think that's extremely key to everything that I do in life. I've learned that over time more and more, that your network is everything. So I have people on the West Coast, on the East Coast that, are integral part of my business ventures. They're people that I do life with. Um, I'm a firm believer, a lot of people don't believe in making friends, business partners. I actually don't believe that. I am a firm believer in making your friends your business partners. I discuss money and business with my friends all the time. And I don't want to do any business with anybody that I can't trust with my life. To me, business is my love language. It's how I interact with people. And it's also how I make a living. It's how I feed myself. So to me, it is a form of lifeline. And so if I can't trust somebody in business, then I can't trust them with my life, is the way that I see it. And so I make sure that my network reflects that. These are people that I would want to be around me, people that I feel would have my best interests. And that takes time to learn and grow and develop. But those factors are really important when it comes to relationships and business and getting all of those things done.
So everyone that's out there listening, take down all of the notes that you can because it's very valuable. And a lot of us really do not realize that your circle, your social circle, your professional circle, just as Issa is sharing with us this evening, that it has a lot to do with what you accomplish and how you grow into different dimensions and levels of success and being able to trust. I'm going to highlight that from your statement. We're going to highlight trust and being able to trust that individual, as you mentioned, in such a way that you would trust them with your life. And so, one other question I would like to ask, what bring you the greatest joy in your life and all that you are doing? What fuels you and what serves as your joy for all that you are doing and still endeavoring to accomplish?
Um, I would say life itself brings me joy. I'm happy to be here. I'm really excited to be here and participate in the world and make an impact. I think the thing that like keeps me going and like is maybe like the amplifier of my joy is the hope and knowledge of, you know, knowing that my family is a huge part of my success, and knowing that what I'm doing is furthering my family's lineage and purpose, and impact here on earth, and ultimately helping others. I think it's really important to understand why you're doing all of this. And a big reason why I'm doing all of this is for my family, my legacy, and my, not just my family that is alive here today, but my family to come, is really, really important. And that's my biggest why. And the second layer to that is really having a meaningful impact in the world, making the world a better place. I mean, I think sometimes we get lost in, the details and the operations and the more prescriptive, you know, factors of what we do. But I think if we stop and pause and we're present and we're aware of what we're doing each day, I think it's important to ask yourself why you're doing it. And my biggest why is because I want to see this world be a better place. I would love to wake up one day and not have to discuss all of the issues with the world. I would love to wake up one day and not have to make a conversation about climate change or make a conversation about, Black issues. I would love to wake up and these not be issues. Now, many people will say that's not realistic, and perhaps it isn't. But what I do believe and what I do know is that things get better if we get better. And so that's the biggest important thing to me, is just to becoming a better person and having a better impact out there in the world. And hopefully it's contagious, because I mean, I truly believe if we can create all these problems as people, I'm sure we can figure out how to solve them.
I believe that strongly. And I applaud you for stepping up to the plate and answering your call to purpose, and answering it in such a way that at the intention of it all is to make a difference in the world and in the lives of people. And one of my own personal principles is you touch one soul, you touch a community. And so I totally high five through the airwaves, applaud you for stepping up and embracing all that you're called to and all that you will continue to accomplish. If you could tell us, what do you see on the horizon? I'm going to give a scope of about 3 to 5 years. If you had a telescope and you're on the pinnacle of a mountain, what do you see coming up for you in the next 3 to 5 years as a creative, as a wellness expert, as a real estate investor? What do you see coming up in the next 3 to 5 years for you?
For myself,
Yes.
see myself in the next 3 to 5 years doing more of the same thing that I'm doing right now, obviously on a larger scale. I'm really big on progress. I learned a lot of lessons even before the pandemic. I actually felt like the pandemic was a lesson for a lot of people, but for me, it was very easy. I even purchased another property during the pandemic. I bought a car during the pandemic. Like, I really didn't, I didn't feel the impact during the pandemic in the same way that many others did, because these were lessons that that had prepared me for something like this. So for the next 3 to 5 years, I really just see myself doing the same thing on a larger scale and on a higher level. I can't really think of anything specific. I know people come into the new year thinking, I'm going to do all these things, and they have these resolutions and these lists of things that they're going to do. And I believe that you should set goals, but I've learned the hard way already that you have to set milestones for yourself. I set quarterly goals and I have milestones within those quarterly goals, but I do not make these big proclamations and these big grandiose announcements about what I'm going to do for the year and who I'm going to become and all of that, not to try to sound like I'm being negative, because I actually believe positivity and positive affirmations is key in getting to where you want to be. But I just don't believe in affirming, you know, where you want to be. Because for me, it works better working in milestones. I find myself getting further when I approach things in that manner. Um, so I don't have anything specific. I think just continuing to grow, continuing to expand, continuing to learn. I think my growth and my success is infinite. So I don't want to even put a final definitive marker on the next 3 to 5 years. I just want to be better.
Amazing. Infinite. Perfect word. Infinite. That's an amazing word. And normally we're almost at the close of the segment. It has been amazing having you on and sitting in and sharing with us. And I'm sure the audience have received so many golden nuggets that you have shared and left with us. But I always like to close each Sean Inspires podcast show asking my guests to share with the listening audience a word of inspiration or a word of encouragement for those that are listening. It can be whatever you feel that is coming up in your heart or that's coming up in your mind to
Mhm.
share with us before we wrap the show today.
Yeah, you absolutely have to be resilient. And resilience is the most important element to success, in my opinion. I don't believe you can accomplish anything without being resilient. And it is literally a superpower. It is the ability to be able to bounce back. And that is the thing that has kept me going. And that is the thing that has brought me so far is being resilient. It's not strong. It's not weak. It's pliable. It's movable. It's adjustable, and it keeps figuring out different ways to get to the next level. And so when we think about like an oak trees are really strong. And, if you chop an oak tree down, it's going to fall really, really hard. But its stump at the base of that tree only goes about 300 feet. A palm tree is really pliable. It bends, it twists. The only time you really see a palm tree flatlined is if there's like a category 6 hurricane, right? But for the most part, palm trees are very pliable trees. And palm trees are also known to have roots that go as deep as 300 miles. So make sure you're rooted, make sure you're grounded, make sure you have a firm foundation, because you can be strong all day. You can be the smartest in the room, you can be the prettiest, you can be the strongest. But if you hit the ground, life is going to make you hit the ground. If you hit the ground, you don't want to hit the ground too hard like an oak tree. You want to be able to bend and bounce back. So that is the biggest lesson that I would, the biggest takeaway that I would give anyone is to really hone in and develop your resilience. Learn how to, it doesn't mean be tough. It just means be resilient. I don't see it as the same thing as tough, but it's also not the same thing as being, soft or weak either. It's just resilience.
Amazing. Resilient, rooted, and grounded. I love it.
Yes.
All of those things are things that are key for a successful life and living well as we intermingle and interact with humanity across the globe. So I love how you shared your golden nugget of resilience and being rooted and being grounded. That's amazing how you coupled and compared that to an oak tree, which happens to be one of my trees. So if we could, in the last few minutes, I would like for you to share with the listening audience how they may connect with you, how they may follow you, and how they may purchase your product from your Savish line. If you could go ahead and share with us, please, that would be great.
Yeah, of course. You can follow me at Ish Content. That's ISHCONTNT. Ishcontent.com or ishmaelmayhew.com, and all goes to the same website. And I am Ish Content on all social platforms. And if you're interested in any of my skincare products, you can look them up at beautygene.com or shopsavish.com. And we've got some great products on those websites.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Ish, for sitting in with the Sean Inspires podcast. We
Thank you.
really, really enjoyed you, and hopefully I'll get you back this year sometime. Thanks, everyone, for listening to the Sean Inspires podcast. I am so excited that you have taken time out of your schedule to tune in. Do share the podcast with your community. Download and subscribe. As always, stay strong and stay inspired. Until next time. Bye now.